Welcome to Pop Pixel. Today we're going to take a look at a game that has been around since 2008, but I'm only now just becoming recently into the knowledge of its existence. Most adult gamers by today have heard about a game that was released in the arcades by Namco in 1988 in Japan, in 1989 in North America. This game was known as Splatterhouse, and this is the same game that you see running behind me right now. Splatterhouse is a beat-em-up platformer in which you control a man named Rick. He's a parapsychology student, and he's become trapped inside the West Mansion along with his friend Jennifer Willis after trying to take refuge during a storm. Rick finds himself waking up in a dungeon with a mask fused to his face. Along with the curse of this mask of being fused to him, Rick finds that he has also been granted superhuman strength. He is bound and determined to get his friend and get out of this mansion alive. Today's game, though, is less about Splatterhouse and more about Splatterhouse Chrome, a hack of the TurboGrafx version of the game that transforms the original into something that of your nightmares. This new rendition of this older game is much more bloody and much more difficult than its predecessor. If you plan on trying to tackle this game, you're going to initially find yourself dying time after time after time again. This game is no longer a linear trip through hell, but it includes branching paths similar to some of the early Castlevania games. If one path is too difficult for you, then you may want to try another path. Anyone who has played the original game will, of course, know how this game controls, and that should come as no surprise since this is just a hack. The main difference that you're going to notice here are the controls. They are all environmentally driven. There are different areas in this game where Rick seems to slide a little bit more than normal, yet again ramping up the difficulty. And as you can see, in this area, Rick is forced forward due to what I assume may be a slippery sediment on the ground below the water. You may also notice in this battle with a mutated version of Jennifer that Rick can't seem to get a foothold, taking on your chance of survival down to a minimum. Every stage in this game has been changed to the point where you may not even know where you are if you're a veteran to the original game. There are things that will look familiar, but it's almost as if this mansion itself is a living entity and able to change. Even the boss areas have been overhauled to make things difficult for the player by creating a scrolling area rather than just sitting on a static screen. I was a huge fan of the original game, so this one of course was a no-brainer. The only reason I found out about this was because I'm a part of a Facebook group called Turbo Reproductions, and Jody, he did a special limited run on the reproductions of this hack that can be played on your actual TurboGrafx system. Not only did he do a limited run of Hue cards, but he also did a cool CD plus G soundtrack that came with the game. Now, I can't show you any of the graphics from the CD plus G because unfortunately my Turbo CD unit does not work with CDRs. When I tried to run it, my system froze and, well, actually not the system, just the graphics on screen froze up, but it still allowed the remaster audio to keep playing. If you're a fan of Splatterhouse, or maybe you're a glutton for punishment, you may want to try and track down the ROM of this game. If you own a Turbo EverDrive, I strongly suggest that you play this game on the actual hardware, as the game actually seems easier. I captured the footage for this video by emulating it on my Raspberry Pi, and I found it to be much more difficult than when I played it on the real hardware with the original controller. Of course, it could just be because of the controller that I was using on the Raspberry Pi. Also, if you're interested in seeing more about this game, I have a full playthrough of the game in the link in the description below. It's a 1 credit clear of this game, and as you can see, it's a very difficult game, but as watching the 1 credit clear that I have here, it may make it look a little bit easier. But I suggest you guys try to find it. It's out on the net, just do a Google search, you can find it. But hey, thanks for stopping by and watching the video review for Splatterhouse Chrome. I really enjoyed this game and I can't suggest it enough to all of you guys. Until next time folks, keep on gaming.